ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaste my dear friends. In this video I am going to narrate Yoga Kundalini Upanishad of Krishna Yajurveda. It starts with chapter number 1. Chitta has two causes, vasanas and pranavayu. If one of them is controlled, then both are controlled. Of these two, a person should control pranavayu always through moderate food, postures, and thirdly, Shakti Chala. I shall explain the nature of these. Listen to it. O Gautama, one should take a sweet and nutritious food, leaving a fourth of his stomach unfulfilled in order to please Shiva, the patron of yogin. This is called moderate food. Posture herein required is of two kinds, Padma and Vajra. Placing the two heels over the two opposite thighs respectively is the Padma posture, which is the destroyer of all sins. Placing one heel below the Mula Kanda and the other over it and sitting with the neck, body and head erect is the Vajra posture. The Shakti mentioned above is only Kundalini. A wise man should take it up from its place with the navel upwards to the middle of the eyebrows. This is called Shakti Chala. In practicing it, two things are necessary, Saraswati Chalan and the restraint of prana breath. Then through practice, Kundalini, which is spiral, becomes straightened. Of these two, I shall explain to you first Saraswati Chalan. It is said by the wise of old that Saraswati is no other than Arundhati. It is only by arousing her up that Kundalini is aroused. When prana breath is passing through one's ida left nostril, he should assume firmly Padma posture and should lengthen inwards 4 digits the akas of 12 digits. Then the wise man should bind the Saraswati Nadi by means of this lengthened breath and holding firmly together both his ribs near the navel by means of the forefingers and thumbs of both hands. One hand on each side should stir up Kundalini with all his might from right to left, often and often for a period of 2 muhurats, 48 minutes. He should be stirring it up fearlessly. Then he should draw up a little when Kundalini enters Susmana. By this means, Kundalini enters the mouth of Susmana. Prana also having left that place enters of itself the Susmana along with Kundalini. By compressing the neck, one should also expand the navel. Then by shaking Saraswati, prana goes above to the chest. Through the contraction of the neck, prana goes above from the chest. Saraswati, who has sound in her womb, should be shaken or thrown into vibration each day. Therefore, by merely shaking it, one is cured of diseases. Gulma, a splenetic disease, Jalodra, dropsy, Paliha, a splenetic disease, and all other diseases arising within the body, arising within the belly, are undoubtedly destroyed by shaking this Shakti. I shall now briefly describe to you pranayama. Prana is the Vayu that moves in the body, and its restraint within is known as Kumbhaka. It is of two kinds, Sahita and Kevala. One should practice Sahita till he gets Kevala. There are four Vedas lit piercings or divisions with Surya, Ujjayi, Shitli, and Bhastri. The Kumbhaka associated with these four is called Sahita Kumbhaka. Being seated in the Padma posture upon a pure and pleasant seat, which gives ease and is neither too high nor too low, and in a place which is pure, lovely, and free from pebbles, etc., and which for the length of a bow is free from cold, fire, and water, one should shake or throw into vibration Saraswati, slowly inhaling the breath from outside as long as he desires through the right nostrils. He should exhale it through the left nostril. He should exhale it after purifying his skull by forcing the breath up. This destroys the four kinds of evils caused by Vayu as also by intestinal worms. This should be done often, and it is this which is spoken of as Surya Bheda, closing the mouth and drawing up slowly the breath as before with the nose through both the nadis or nostrils and retaining it in the space between the heart and the neck. One should exhale it through the left nostril. This destroys the heat caused in the head as well as the phlegm in the throat. It removes all diseases, purifies his body, and increases the gastric fire within. It removes also the evils arising in the nadis, Jalodra, water belly, or dropsy and dhatus. This kumbhaka is called Ujjayi and may be practiced even when walking or standing. Drawing up the breath as before through the tongue with the hissing sound of sa and retaining it as before. The wise man should slowly exhale it through both the nostrils. This is called Sitli Kumbhaka and destroys diseases such as gulma, pliha, consumption, bile, fever, thirst, and poison. Seated in the Padma posture with belly and neck erect, the wise man should close the mouth and exhale with care through the nostrils. Then he should inhale a little with speed up to the heart so that the breath may fill the space with noise between the neck and skull. Then he should exhale in the same way and inhale often and often, just as the bellows of a smith are moved with stuffed with air within and then the air is let out, so he should move the air within his body. If the body gets tired, then he should inhale through the right nostril. If his belly is full of vayu, then he should press well his nostrils with all his fingers except his forefinger and performing kumbhaka as before should exhale through the left nostril. This frees one from diseases of fire in or inflammation of the throat, increases the gastric fire within, enables one to know the Kundalini, produces purity, removing sins, gives happiness and pleasure, and destroys phlegm, which is the bolt or obstacle to the door at the mouth of Brahmanadi with Susmana. It pierces also the throat granthi or knots differentiated through the three gunas. This kumbhaka is known as bhavstri and should especially be performed through these four ways when kumbhaka is near or is about to be performed. The sinless yogi should practice these three bandhas. The first is called Mula Bandha, the second is called Uddiyana, and the third is Jalandhara. Their nature will be thus described. Apana, breath which has a downward tendency is forced upon by one bending down. This process is called Mula Bandha. When Apana is raised up and reaches the sphere of Agni fire, then the flame of Agni grows long, being blown about by Vayu. Then Agni and Apana come to or commingle with Prana in a heated state. Through this Agni, which is very fiery, there arises in the body the flaming or the fire which rouses the sleeping Kundalini through its heat. Then this Kundalini makes a hissing noise, becomes erect like a serpent beaten with stick, and enters the hole of Brahmanadi, Susmana. Therefore, yogins should daily practice Moolbandha often. Uddiyana should be performed at the end of Kumbhaka and at the beginning of expiration, because prana udyate, which goes up the susumna in this bandha. Therefore, it is called Uddiyana by the yogins. Being seated in the Vajra posture and holding firmly the two toes by the two hands, he should press at the khanda and at the place near the two ankles. Then he should gradually upbear the tana, thread or nadi, which is on the western side, first to Udara the upper part of the abdomen, above the navel, then to the heart, and then to the neck. When prana reaches the sandhi junction of navel, slowly it removes the impurities or diseases in the navel. Therefore, this should be frequently practiced. This bandha called Jalandhara should be practiced at the end of Kumbhaka. This Jalandhara is of the form of the contraction of the neck and is an impediment to the passage of Vayu upwards. When the neck is contracted at once by bending downwards, so the chin may touch the breast. Prana goes through Brahmanadi on the western tana in the middle, assuming the seat as mentioned before. One should stir up Saraswati and control prana. On the first day, Kumbhaka should be done 4 times. On the second day, it should be done 10 times and then 5 times separately. On the third day, 20 times will do, and afterwards, Kumbhaka should be performed with the 3 bandhas and with an increase of 5 times each day. Diseases are generated in one's body through the following causes, viz. Sleeping in daytime, late vigils overnight, excess of sexual intercourse, moving in crowd, the checking of the discharge of urine, and thecus, the evils of unwholesome food and laborious mental operation with prana. If a yogi is afraid of such diseases, when attacked by them, he says, "My diseases have arisen from my practice of yoga." Then he will discontinue this practice. This is said to be the first obstacle to yoga. The second obstacle is doubt. The third is carelessness. The fourth, laziness. The fifth, sleep. The sixth, the not leaving of objects of sense. The seventh, erroneous perception. The eighth, sensual objects. The ninth, want of faith. And the 10th, the failure to attain the truth of yoga. A wise man should abandon these 10 obstacles after great deliberation. The practice of pranayama should be performed daily with the mind firmly fixed on truth. Then chitta is absorbed in susumna, and prana therefore never moves. When the impurities of chitta are thus removed and prana is absorbed in susumna, he becomes a true yogi. Apana, which has a downward tendency, should be raised up with effort by the contraction of the anus, and this is spoken of as Mool Bandha. Apana, thus raised up, mixes with Agni, and then they go up quickly to the seat of prana. Then prana and apana, uniting with one another, go to Kundalini, which is coiled up and asleep. Kundalini, being heated up by Agni and stirred by Vayu, extends her body in the mouth of Sushumna pierces the Brahmagranthi formed of rajas and flashes at once like lightning at the mouth of Sushumna. Then it goes up at once through Vishnu Granthi to the heart. Then it goes up through Rudra Granthi and above it to the middle of the eyebrows. Having pierced this place, it goes up to the mandala sphere of the moon. It dries up the moisture produced by the moon in the Anta Chakra having 16 petals. When the blood is agitated through the speed of prana, it becomes bile from its contact with the sun, after which it goes to the sphere of the moon, where it becomes of the nature of the flow of pure phlegm. How does it? Blood which is very cold becomes hot when it flows there, since at the same time the intense white form of moon is speedily heated up. Then, being agitated, it goes up through taking in this chitta, which was moving amidst sensual objects externally, is restrained there. The novice enjoying this high state attains peace and becomes devoted to Atma. Kundalini assumes the 8 forms of Prakriti, matter, and attains Shiva by encircling him and dissolves itself in Shiva. Thus, Rajas Sukla, seminal fluid which rises up, goes to Shiva along with Marut, Vayu, Prana, and Apana, which are always produced, become equal. Pranas flow in all things, great and small, describable or indescribable, as fire in gold. Then this body, which is Abhibhautika, composed of elements, becomes Abhidevata, relating to a tutelar deity, and is thus purified. Then it attains the stage of the Ativahika. Then the body, being freed from the inert state, becomes stainless and of the nature of Chit. In it, the Ativahika becomes the chief of all beings of the nature of that. Like the conception of the snake in a rope, so the idea of the release from wife and samsara is the delusion of time. Whatever appears is unreal, whatever is absorbed is unreal, like the illusory conception of silver in the mother of pearl, so is the idea of man and woman. The microcosm and the macrocosm are one and the same. So also the linga and sutratma, swabhava, substance and form, and the self resplendent light and Siddhatma. The Shakti named Kundalini, which is like a thread in the lotus and is resplendent, is biting with the upper end of its hood, namely mouth, at the root of the lotus, the mole Kanda taking hold of its tail with its mouth. It is in contact with the whole of Brahmarandra of Susmana. If a person seated in the Padma posture and having accustomed himself to the contraction of his anus makes his vayu go upward with the mind intent on Kumbhaka, then Agni comes to Swadhisthana flaming owing to the blowing of Vayu. From the blowing of Vayu and Agni, the chief Kundalini pierces upon the Brahm Granthi and then Vishnu Granthi. Then it pierces Rudra Granthi. After that, all the 6 lotuses or plexus. Then Shakti is happy with Shiva in Sahasrara Kamla. 1000 lotuses seat or pineal gland. This should be known as the highest avastha state, and it alone is the giver of final beatitude. Thus ends the first chapter. Chapter 2. I shall hereafter describe the science called Khechri, which is such that one who knows it is freed from old age and death in this world. One who is subject to the pains of death, disease, and old age should osage on knowing this science, make his mind firm, and practice Khechri. One should regard that person as his guru on earth who knows Khechri, the destroyer of old age and death, both from knowing the meaning of books and practice, and should perform it with all his heart. The science of Khechri is not easily attainable as also its practice. Its practice and melanal are not accomplished simultaneously. Those that are bent upon practice alone do not get melana. Only some get the practice. O Brahma, O Brahman, after several births, but melana is not obtained even after 100 births. Having undergone the practice after several births, some solitary yogin gets the melana in some future birth as the result of his practice. When a yogin gets this melana from the mouth of his guru, then he obtains the siddhis mentioned in the several books. When a man gets this melana through books and the significance, then he attains the state of Shiva, freed from all rebirth. Even gurus may not be able to know this without books. Therefore, this science is very difficult to master. An ascetic should wander over the earth so long as he fails to get this science, and when this science is obtained, then he has got the siddhi in his hand which master the psychical powers. Therefore, one should regard as Achyuta Vishnu the person who imparts the melana, as also him gives out the science. He should regard as Shiva him who teaches the practice. Having got this science from me, you should not reveal it to others. Therefore, one who knows this should protect it with all his efforts, which should never give it out except to persons who deserve it. O Brahman, one should go to the place where lives the Guru who is able to teach the divine yoga and there learn from him the science Khetri and being then taught well by him, should at first practice it carefully. By means of this science, a person will attain the Siddhi of Khetri, joining with Khetri Shakti, with Kundalini Shakti, by means of the science of Khetri, which contains the bija, seed of letter of Khetri, one becomes the Lord of Khetras, Devas, and lives always amongst them. Khetri bija seed letter is spoken of as Agni, encircled with water, and as the abode of Khetras Devas. Through this yoga, Siddhi is mastered. The ninth bija letter of Somasa, Soma or moon part should also be pronounced in the reverse order. Then a letter composed of three ansas of the form of moon has been described, and after that the eighth letter should be pronounced in the reverse order. Then consider it as the supreme and its beginning as the fifth, and this is said to be the Kuta, horns of the several bhinas or parts of the moon. This, which tends to the accomplishment of all yogas, should be learnt through the initiation of a guru. He who recites this 12 times every day will not get even in sleep that Maya illusion which is born in his body and which is the source of all vicious deeds. He who recites these 5 lakhs of times with very great care to him, the science of Khetri will reveal itself. All obstacles vanish and the devas are pleased. The destruction of Valipalita, which wrinkle and grayness of hair, will take place without doubt. Having acquired this great science, one should practice it afterwards. If not, O Brahman, he will suffer without getting any siddhi in the path of Khetri. If one does not get this nectar-like science in this practice, he should get it in the beginning of Melana and recite it always. Else one who is without it never gets siddhi. As soon as the person gets this science, he should practice it, and then the sage will soon get the siddhi. Having drawn out the tongue from the root of the palate, a knower of Atma should clear the impurity of the tongue for 7 days according to the advice of his guru. He should take a sharp knife which is oiled and cleaned and which resembles the leaf of the plant Snowy Euphorbia aticorum, and should cut for the space of a hair the frenum lingui, having powdered sandhava, rock salt, and pathya, sea salt. He should apply it to the place. On the seventh day, he should again cut for the space of a hair. Thus, for the space of 6 months, he should continue it always gradually with great care. In 6 months, Sirobandha Bandha at the head, which is at the root of the tongue, is destroyed. Then the yogi who knows timely action should encircle with Siro Vastra, lit the cloth of the head, the Vak Iswari, the deity presiding over speech, and should draw it up. Again, by daily drawing it up for 6 months, it comes or says as far as the middle of the eyebrows and obliquely up to the opening of the ears. Having gradually practiced, it goes to the root of the chin. Then in 3 years, it goes up easily to the end of the hair of the head. It goes up obliquely to sakha and downwards to the well of the throat. In another 3 years, it occupies Brahmarandra and stops there without doubt. Crosswise, it goes up to the top of the head and downwards to the well of the throat. Gradually, it opens the great adamantine door in the head. The rare science of Khechri Bija has been explained before. One should perform the 6 angas, parts of this mantra, by pronouncing it in 6 different intonations. One should do this in order to attain all the siddhis, and this Karansyama Karnyasam should be done gradually and not all at a time, since the body of one who does it all at once will soon decay. Therefore, it should be practiced, O best of sages, little by little. When the tongue goes to the Brahmarandra through the outer path, then one should place the tongue after moving the bolt of Brahma, which cannot be mastered by the Devas. On doing this for 3 years with the point of the finger, he should make the tongue enter within. Then it enters Brahmdvara or hole. On entering the Brahmdvara, one should practice Mathna, churning well. Some intelligent men attain Siddhi even without Mathna. One who is versed Khechri mantra accomplishes it without Mathna. By doing the japa and mathna, one reaps the fruits soon. By connecting a wire made of gold, silver, or iron with the nostrils by means of a thread soaked in milk, one should restrain his breath in his heart and seated in a convenient posture with his eyes concentrated between his eyebrows. He should perform mathna slowly. In 6 months, the state of mathna should naturally like sleep in children, and it is not advisable to do mathna always. It should be done once only in every month. A yogi should not revolve his tongue in the path. After doing this for 12 years, Siddhi is surely obtained. Then he sees the whole universe in his body as not being different from Atma. This path of the Urdhva Kundalini, higher Kundalini, O Chief of Kings, conquers the macrocosm. Thus ends the second chapter. Chapter 3. Malan Mantra Devan Hari Harim Bha Bham Se Sam Sam Sham Pham Pham Sam Sam and Devan Gri Som Aksham. The lotus born Brahma said, O Shankara, among new moon, the first day of the lunar fortnight and full moon, which is spoken of as its mantra's sign. In the first day of lunar fortnight and during new moon and full moon days, it should be made firm and there is no other way or time. A man longs for an object through passion and is infatuated with passion for objects. One should always leave these two and seek the Niranjana stainless. He should abandon everything else which he thinks is favorable to himself, keeping the manas in the midst of Shakti and Shakti in the midst of manas. One should look into manas by means of manas. Then he leaves even the highest stage. Manas alone is the bindu, the cause of creation and preservation. It is only through manas that bindu is produced like the curd from milk. The organs of manas is not that which is situated in the middle of bandhana. Bandhana is there where Shakti is between the sun and moon. Having known Susmana and its Bheda piercing and making the Vayu go in the middle, one should stand in the seat of Bindu and close the nostrils. Having known Vayu, the above mentioned Bindu and the Sattva Prakriti as well as the six chakras, one should enter the Sukha Mandala with the Sahasrara or pineal gland, the sphere of happiness. There are six chakras. Muladhara is in the anus, Swadhisthana is near the genital organ, Manipura is in the navel, Anahata is in the heart, Visuddhi is at the root of the neck, and Ajna is in the head between the two eyebrows. Having known these six mandalas spheres, One should enter the Sukhmandala, pineal gland, drawing up the Vayu and should send it Vayu upwards. He who practices thus the control of Vayu becomes one with Brahmanda, the macrocosm. He should practice or master Vayu, Bindu, Chitta and Chakra. Yogins attain the nectar of equality through samadhi alone, just as the fire latent in sacrificial wood does not appear without churning. So the lamp of wisdom does not arise without the abhyasa yoga or practice of yoga. The fire placed in a vessel does not give light outside. When the vessel is broken, its light appears without. One's body is spoken of as the vessel, and the seat of that is the fire or light within. And when the body is broken through the words of a guru, the light of Brahmajnana becomes resplendent. With the Guru as the helmsman, one crosses the subtle body and the ocean of samsara through the affinities of practice. That vak, power of speech, which sprouts in para, gives forth two leaves in pashanti, buds forth in madhyama, and blossoms in vakhari. That vak, which has before been described, reaches the stage of the absorption of sound, reversing the above order with beginning with Vakhri, etc. Whoever thinks that he who is the great Lord of that work, who is the undifferentiated, and who is the illuminator of that work is self. Whoever thinks over thus is never affected by words, high or low, or good or bad. The three aspects of consciousness, Visva, Tejasa, and Prajna in man, the three Virat, Hiranyagarbha, and Isvara in the universe, the egg of the universe, the egg of man, and the seven worlds. All these in turn are absorbed in Pratyagatma through the absorption of their respective upadhis, vehicles. The egg being heated by the fire of jnana is absorbed with its karna, cause, into Paramatma, universal self. Then it becomes one with Parbrahma. It is then neither steadiness nor depth, neither light nor darkness, neither describable nor distinguishable. Sat, beingness alone remains. One should think of Atma as being within the body like a light in a vessel. Atma is of the dimensions of thumb, is a light without smoke and without form, is shining within the body and is undifferentiated and immutable. The Vijnana Atma that dwells in this body is deluded by Maya during the states of waking, dreaming, and dreamless sleep. But after many births, owing to the effect of good karma, it wishes to attain its own state. Who am I? How has this stain of mundane existence accrued to me? What becomes in the dreamless sleep of me who am engaged in business, in the waking and dreaming states. Just as a bale of cotton is burnt by fire, so the Chidabhasha, which is the result of non-wisdom, is burnt by the wise thoughts like the above and by its own supreme illumination. The outer burning of body as done in the world is no burning at all. When the worldly wisdom is destroyed, Pratyagatma, that is in the Dahara, Akas or ether of the heat, obtains Vijnana, diffusing itself everywhere and burns in an instant. Jnanmaya and Manomaya cease. After this, he himself shines away within like a light within a vessel. That Muni who contemplates thus till sleep and till death is to be known as Jivan Mukta. Having done what ought to be done, he is a fortunate person, and having given up even the state of a Jivan Mukta, he attains Videha Mukti, emancipation in a disembodied state. After his body wears off, he attains the state as if of moving in the air. Then that alone remains, which is soundless, touchless, formless, and deathless, which is the rasa, a sense, eternal and odorless, which has neither beginning nor end, which is greater than the great, and which is permanent, stainless, and decayless. Thus ends the Upanishad. Thank you for watching this video. Namaskar, my dear friends. Thank you.